This video is totally dedicated to all those who really wanted to know about the Hamas-led Palestine and Israel conflict, how Palestinian is facing a severe humanitarian crisis in Gaza, why Hamas is fighting with Israel time and again, how Israel is bombing in Gaza, and why Israel imposed a total blockade of the Gaza Strip and using starvation as a weapon against Hamas-led Palestine. You will get everything from here, so let's start from starting. A series of military conflict has been fought between various Arab countries and Israel from time to time. The very first war happened in 1948 to 49, and this has begun when Israel declared itself an independent state after following the United Nations partition of Palestine. Five Arab countries, which were Egypt, Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, and Syria, opposed this move and attacked Israel. And Israel won the war by capturing considerable territories of these countries. Arab-Israel of 1967 war, which is famously known as Six-Day War, Israel attacked Egypt, Jordan, and Syria. Israel forces captured the Sinai Peninsula from Egypt, Gaza Strip, west bank of the Jordan River, Old City of Jerusalem, and the Golan Heights from Syria. And the status of these occupied territories subsequently became major point of contention between the two sides. From 1967 to 1981, these areas was administered under the Israeli military governorate, and the United Nations referred these areas as the occupied Arab territories. It means United Nations never considered them as Israeli territory legally. In 1979, Egypt-Israel peace treaty was signed and Egypt recognized Israel and Israel returned the Sinai Peninsula to Egypt. In 2005, due to security concerns, demographic and economic challenges, international pressure, political consideration, and focus on West Bank, Israel withdrew from Gaza Strip, which was unilaterally disengagement plan initiated by the then Israel Prime Minister Ariel Sharon. But soon, two most dominant political parties, Fatah and Hamas, started confronting to take control over the Gaza Strip. Here, Hamas is an orthodoxy Islamist ideological party and it does not recognize Israel but accept a Palestinian state on 1967 borders and focus on armed resistance against Israel. And Fatah is a secular ideological party who recognizes Israel and wants to build a state on 1967 borders. It focuses on negotiations with Israel over armed conflict. And finally, in 2007, Hamas took control over the Gaza Strip. Hamas is the acronym for Harakat al-Muqawama al-Islamiyah, is basically Islamic resistance movement. Hamas is the largest and most capable militant group in the Palestinian territories. Hamas emerged in 1987 during the first Palestinian uprising, or you can say an intifada. Sheikh Ahmad Yassin, who was an Palestinian cleric and also was an Islamic scholar, was the founding key members of Hamas. He established Hamas as the Brotherhood political arm in Gaza in 1987. It has become more prominent in Gaza in 2007 after defeating the rival Fatah. Hamas published its charter in 1988 in which they focus on their objectives. The main aim of Hamas is to the destruction of Israel and to wipe out or kill the every single Jews in the region and to establish an Islamic society in historic Palestine. It is basically a militant group and who wants armed resistance to Israel. In 2017, Hamas presented a new document in which they accepted an interim Palestinian state along the Green Line border established before the Six-Day War, but they still refuse to recognize Israel. Hamas has a military wing known as the Ij al-Din al-Qassam Brigades that has conducted many anti-Israel attacks in both Israel and the Palestinian territories since the 1990s. These attacks have been included large-scale bombing against Israeli civilian targets, small arms attacks, improvised roadside explosives and rocket attacks and suicide bombings. In 1997, the United States State Department designated Hamas as a foreign terrorist organization, But the United Nations does not consider Hamas to be a terrorist organization. Despite decades of suicide bombings, thousands of rockets launched indiscriminately at Israeli cities, and the barbaric action of October 7 this year. Since the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, Palestinian receives international aid. The United States Agency for International Development provides financial support to the Palestinian people for various development and humanitarian projects. United States, United Kingdom and other European countries, Arab states and other worldwide countries and various organizations provides funds to the Palestinian through charities and others way. Here, Palestinian Liberation Organization, that is PLO, is a Palestinian nationalist coalition and it is internationally recognized as the official representative of the Palestinian people. But Hamas, who is still fighting for the Palestinians, do not get any kind of aids from these international bodies, nations and organizations because Hamas is a militant body and is not a part of Palestinian Liberation Organization. Hamas is designated as a terrorist entity because of that. Hamas is cut off from official assistance that the United Nations, European Union and other countries provide to the PLO in the West Bank. 70% of its financial need has been fulfilled by Iran. Iran also providing military training and military weapons to Hamas against Israel. Because Iran itself is an extremist Sunni country and the biggest enemy of Israel in the West Asia region, Iran don't want the dominance of Israel Jews in the region. Turkey is another country who continuously backed Hamas against Israel, being an Islamic Sunni extremist country. Qatar continuously support Hamas by providing aid and assistance, and Arab states also backed Hamas. It has also been reported that Hamas is also getting money from cryptocurrency and through so many illegal routes. On the mark of the 50th anniversary of Yom Kippur War victory, Israel was busy on celebrating this year on 6 October, Yom Kippur, which is the holiest day in Judaism and Samaritanism and also known as the Day of Atonement, and it is observed on the 10th day of the lunar month of Tisri and it falls in September or early October. And Yom Kippur War occurred between Israel on the one side and Egypt and Syria on the other side, and it occurred between 6 to 24 October 1973. This war is also known as October War or Ramadan War. On the very next day of 7 October 2023, the Hamas-led Palestinian militant groups launched a surprise attack with a barrage of rockets, around 5,000 rockets on the southern Israel from the Gaza Strip, and around 3,000 militants breached the Gaza-Israel barrier and attacked Israeli communities, resulting in the deaths of hundreds of Israeli civilians, soldiers, foreigners, and many Israeli soldiers, civilians, and foreigners were taken to the Gaza Strip as captives or hostages, with the stated goal of forcing Israel to release Palestinian prisoners. The reason behind these attacks, Hamas stated that this attack was in response to the continued Israel occupation of Palestinian territories, the blockade of the Gaza Strip, the expansion of illegal Israeli statements, rising Israeli settlers, violence, and recent escalations. Hamas is using civilian structures including hospitals, medical centers, schools, mosques, residential areas as base for military operation and other military activities, which is violation of international law. And in response to Hamas attacks, Israel Defense Forces started a strike by dropping tons of bombs on Gaza Strip, whether it is on the road, mosque, hospital, tunnel, everywhere under Israeli radars. Israeli military stormed Gaza's largest hospitals, Al-Shifa, a lots of weapons and other evidence to support its assistance and assertion have been discovered. Israeli forces also attacking the tunnels networks which Hamas militant group built underneath the Palestinian territory, which causing widespread destruction and thousands of civilian deaths. Since the starting of the war, Israel imposed a total blockade of the Gaza Strip. The Israel Defense Minister announced that we are putting a complete siege on Gaza. No water, no electricity, no food, no gases, and it's all closed. He also added that we are fighting human animals and we are acting accordingly. The Israeli Minister of Energy and Infrastructure stated that the lifting of the Gaza blockade would not occur until the hostages who were abducted by Hamas are safely returned to their homeland and Israeli troops encircled Gaza city. The Turkish Palestinian Friendship Hospitals was forced to shut down despite being Gaza's only cancer hospital after running out of fuel. And the result of this blockade made significant shortages of fuel, food, medication, water and essential medical supplies and 90% drop in electricity availability impacting hospitals' power supplies, sewage plants and shutting down the desalination plants that provide drinking water. Widespread disease outbreaks have spread across Gaza. This made the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, which is the result of 2023 Israel-Hamas war. Heavy bombardment by Israeli airstrikes caused catastrophic damages to Gaza's infrastructure, further deepening the crisis. Thousands of children killed in this war. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres stated that Gaza had become a graveyard for children. People are dying of starvation because of blockade. Israel using these starvation as a weapon to fight with Hamas militant group in the Gaza Strip. As of now, 22 December 2023, more than 20,000 Palestinians, including over 8,000 children, 6,000 plus women and 61 plus journalists have been killed. It is estimated that thousands more bodies were buried under rubble. Widespread civilian deaths have led to both Israel and Hamas being accused of war crimes. War crime is a violation of laws of war in which the combatant intentionally killing civilians or intentionally killing prisoners of war, torture, taking hostages, unnecessarily destroying public property, sexually violence, and many more. Israel ordered Gazans to evacuate from northern to southern Gaza. Israel also bombing on those locations where it told Palestinians to evacuate. It was widely reported that there was no safe place in Gaza. Pressure is building on Israel after the United Nations General Assembly passed a resolution demanding a ceasefire in Gaza. Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and other allies issued a rare joint statement calling for an end to hostilities and expressing alarm at the diminishing safe space for civilians in Gaza. United States, which is Israel's allies, also criticized Israel for indiscriminated bombing. A two-state solution has been proposed in order to resolve the conflict between Israel and Palestine, establishing two states for two people, Israel for the Jewish people and Palestine for the Palestinian people. In 1993, the Israeli government and the Palestine Liberation Organization, that is PLO, agreed on a plan to implement a two-state solution as a part of Oslo Accords. United States, United Kingdom, Germany, France, and many other countries have strongly advocated a two-state solution. And in 1947, the United Nations General Assembly adopted United Nations Partition Plan for Palestine, but it has not implemented yet.